This is my neighborhood right now. It looks very much as though I should be singing next to some foggy moor. It's actually much foggier than it is looking right now. Maybe the park will give us more fog. It's quite ominous. That's what I'm looking for, ominous. Cisness. Ooh. It was a dark and foggy night. No, it's very dark and it's very foggy. I can feel the fog on my face, actually. But it's like Yule Eve, solstice, and it's the park. And this is quite a grainy video, and I didn't order my headlamp because I knew it would mess up the video, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Yule energies, the solstice energies that are so intensive. I can't say enough how grateful I am for content creators that provide validation for what many of us experience that are sensitives. And what's interesting to me is that I have, since awakening 2 years ago, I have had little challenges with low vibrations. I've been really on the astral, vibing high, sometimes physically uncomfortable because of growth or whatever, but for the most part, really enjoying the ascension process. Even through some of the shadow work, I was really enjoying myself. All of that to say, this has not been enjoyable at all. This aspect, this period of time right now has been energetically gutting. Like I feel like a fish that's been gutted, which is disgusting. My dad used to gut fish in the backyard when he'd come back from Lake Lowell. I can see the little egg sacs in my head, but maybe you didn't want to hear that. But oh, we're coming into the light. God, I hope that's true. It's been a absolute tumultuous time energetically, and because I have a wonderful community of other spiritual workers and people that are on their ascension path in general, people that are sensitives, bridge workers, people who walk between worlds. I've been blessed to be able to check in with other people who experience perhaps different energies than I do. And unanimously, we've all been struggling, and it's been a weird time too, because we're all in kind of this womb space, the darkness of winter that felt like it came upon us all very suddenly. But despite that, for those of us who are fairly like communal and reach out to each other, we've all individually felt like a need to go inward, which is just how winter is, you know, like the womb space, the dark mother, the cold, tending to what is inside of you, the reflection, all of that, very much related to shadow, which is fine. And shadow work itself is fine, you know. I've done my share of the shadow work. I've dug into the underworld. I've worked with the fierce goddess energies that hold space guarding the underworld and do the healing and the soul retrieval. I've done the things, but this shit is different. And in particular tonight, I was listening to the latest energy update from a creator I genuinely appreciate so much. Activations with JJ. I've been following her for a while, and I attended a virtual Lemurian conference this summer. which was incredible. And she has always maintained channeling that I have gotten at the same time, pretty much. So I felt really aligned with her. Vibrationally, we resonate. We're getting information from the same source, which is fantastic. But this energy update, she was able to verbalize so beautifully what is going on right now for us energy workers is not just our own shadow. It's not our own shadow at all. It is collective shadow. And I channeled about this a couple days ago, and I'm going to share with you what I got. Because I've only told a couple people close to me. Like, we've been, oh, do you feel bad? Yes, I feel bad. Do you feel bad? Oh, I also feel bad. You know, we've been talking about that. Of course, the Schumann being what it is, and all the activity around solar flares and such is interesting because it's energetic. It's also, you know, scientific. It's spiritual. It's all the things because they're all connected. But this is the visual I got. Because I took a plummet, truly a plummet, all summer long. I was doing grid work in my reels, you can see. I was like traveling to beautiful places, talking to rocks. I went to Maui before the fires. I went to Shasta. I've been to Spiral Jetty and Salt Lake. I've been to the California coast. Went to San Diego less than a month ago. I've been gridding all over the freaking place. Feeling so connected to the earth, feeling so called, so in alignment, creating community, vibing up the wazoo, like waking up with bliss energies for hours. That's where I was at. And then holy shit. It was like after, I think it was after the 11/11 portal, it was the slow plummeting. But after Thanksgiving, it was, it floored me. It floored me because it felt like the world was thicker. And it wasn't anything that happened, you know? There was not an event that you can pinpoint it and be like, oh, this was a trigger that came up or whatever. It wasn't any of that. It was just, boom, have fun. And I felt gross, like someone dosed me or something. So then you like look into your spiritual hygiene and you check what you've done and you make sure your food's all good and you making sure your house is protected. I'm protecting my house. I'm getting it cleared. I've got like watchdog friends who can sniff out dark energies and they're like, no, your house is vibing great. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? Is it me? Is it me? And dude, it's not. It is this. And so what I channeled was that, much like the grid work is anchoring light, right? And sharing codes with those pressure points on the planet to help it in assisting in the ascension. Like giving it a little snuggle. And she's coming up into her era, right? I was called to it, like, do this now. And I did. It was great. This is a different version of that because something happened in the collective around that time. So you just have to see this. I mean, it's creepy, right? It's like a main street. It's just all fog. So, that gridding is happening collectively, but instead of like a light worker intentionally going to a place to grid, what it is just like hollandaise sauce. Come with me on this. I used to work in a fine dining restaurant and I watched those cooks were magicians with those whisks And they did it with like, not a double boiler, but they had like a hot bowl of water in a metal bowl, and then over that they would be working with the eggs and putting whatever the hell they put in hollandaise, so that didn't scramble, right? They just applied heat to it to slowly let it go up, or it would scramble. So what I was shown was that light workers are basically lightning rods for energies that are coming in for the ascension, right? And we're used to vibing super high and getting business taken care of. Well, the earth, Gaia, she's going through a thing, right? She's splitting. She's going through this breakup with her darker half, and she doesn't want to be part of that anymore. But in order for that transition to happen, there's like this darkness of this splitting. And truly, if the light workers didn't come down a little bit to go with this process while holding the light, we would scramble. And so we had to come down to help bring the others up that need our assistance. And it's just, I mean, I get it. That makes sense. I'm not a lifeguard. I can't even swim. But it's like that. We're going down into the depths to help rescue people who've been living down here. They've been living in this sludge for a while, and this sludge is like more intense now. But to like remember that despite what it feels like, it is truly the darkest time of year. It's the darkest. This period of time is the darkest of what Gaia is going to experience. And we're with her during this period of introspection, collective shadow, collective darkness. There's so much going on worldwide energetically, and those are just the things we know about. Think of all the things we don't know about or can't see, and it feels heavy and daunting. And I've been really working hard to not get wrapped up in oh, this is like reality for good. This is transition. It's very much a time of not pushing. I've felt a lot of, we all have stuff to do. It's Christmas time, a lot of busy stuff with family and my business, and growing a second business, and tending to people that need me. And everything pulls in every direction. I've managed that so much in my life. I've been a multitasking wizard. But right now it just seems almost insurmountable. And I don't even really break down in my life anymore since kundalini. And I have been in really my autism paralysis again. I've gone into it, and I've been like unable to express what I need and with words, and I'm a wordsmith, and it's truly baffling to be taken down this intensely from being so high. And it's also an opportunity of gratitude to realize why light workers are even doing this. It's because this darkness is so dark. And if we get the opportunity to be rescued from it at all, we're so blessed, even for moments, right? And now we're helping other people get out of it, to hold the light down in the darkness, so that we can help through this time of immense density. And I don't claim to understand everything about spirit, not even like this much of spirituality. There's so much to learn that I could, and maybe I have lived a million times, I don't know, but I don't have access to all that information right now. I just get what I get when I get it. So I don't claim to understand what kind of portal is open right now, or how, or why, or how this works in terms of ancestry and calendars and what that means on the astral. I don't know that. I can feel stuff though, and I feel it's dense. So one thing I really appreciated listening to this update from JJ earlier is also what I was guided to do earlier this week, which was, I remember after COVID shutdown happened, and I would think about, just a simple day, going to get coffee in my favorite coffee shop and driving to work had been interrupted, and I didn't know when it was going to not be that way. Everything was different, and that was a collective trauma we all experienced. But I would think about ordinary things and how I missed ordinary things. And for whatever is coming in transition right now, and I think collectively a lot of us who can channel and see and know and get prophetic dreams about or whatever, most of us have been, we've got a barrier with the exactly, the what, the how, the when. We feel, but we don't see, and that's unusual because I usually see details. So do these other people. And so to not see the details is self-concern, but also that means I'm not supposed to know, which I'm fine with. But knowing that I don't know, and knowing that it feels dense, knowing that it feels like, kind of like I'm a cat that has their fluff up, like something could happen at any time. One of my friends and I exchange every morning. Well, it didn't end last night, do you think? Maybe tonight. It ending being whatever. I don't freaking know. Whatever. But we're kind of feeling like that, like whatever it is, it's a coming, and don't know what that looks like. Nonetheless, I have been thinking a lot about appreciating simple moments right now, because I feel like they may be limited in the way it looks like this. And there's been a lot of talk about like a collective grieving that's happening, releasing, like even when transitions are good transitions, there's a grief associated with the change, depending on how sensitive you are to change. When I finished grad school, I worked for housing at the university I went to. And during that, you had to like move out as soon as you graduated. And I also needed to take a licensing test for social work and get a job. And I didn't have any savings, and I needed to find a new house. My daughter was 5. She's 5? She was just turning 5 that week, actually, in May. And got a puppy and got a dog. Moved into a house, got a job, passed my licensing exam all in a week. And it was like stuff I worked for. And I was so excited. But man, once I got all the things I wanted and that I worked so hard for, I sunk, because then I'd climbed the mountain, and I grieved, even though it was good stuff. And I was saying goodbye to hard stuff. I grieved. Of course, the chaplain I worked with at the hospice I was at, he let me know that that was normal. That everybody, goes through that sort of change when releasing something, even if it's a good change. And I take that with me, and I remember it. Even good changes bring about grief, because it's a transition. And sometimes people feel that on big and small scales. Like, I think most women feel some kind of like shift with their cycle, and I think some of that might be grief, either literally or metaphorically. And I think we feel that with seasons changing. I know my patients are always like, oh, but the sun, and I want to be on the lake, and the water, and I don't want the snow. So there's grief with the seasons, but there's like a macrocosm of that, a larger macrocosm of seasons, and those seasons are Gaia's lifetime seasons in her life. And we're doing that right now. And that's bringing grief. And it's expected, even though it's a good transition. And so I'm choosing, like I did my last months before I graduated, appreciating the walk by the Boise River next to the university and enjoying my classmates that I didn't know when I'd see them again, and saying the words I needed to say to the professors that had guided me, and say goodbye to the babies at the NICU that I worked with. There were endings, but I knew it was coming, and so I savored them. And then when I worked in hospice and people were dying and they would get closer, when I'd say goodbye after a visit to someone I'd seen for years or months or whatever, I said what I needed to say, and I savored their voice and the way they hugged, because I didn't know if I'd see them again, and often I didn't. And that's how I feel right now. I feel just like that right now. And I can't put it in words other than that feeling that things are finite in the way it looks now. Not that everything's gonna be gone or crushed. I don't feel that. I just feel like what we know will be different. It's a redefining and ascending. But I also don't have any idea what that looks like. And so it is very much, and JJ said this, it's like sitting in anticipation to open a present. We don't know what it is, but until then, I am savoring the heck out of the moments. I am savoring the way I set up my office in the morning before patients, the way I light candles and lay out my crystals, and the way I do some vinyasas in my office, listening to like old rave music, because that totally matches, before my first patient. I appreciate going to my coffee shop and having the same banter with the same people I've been going to for years, and we know each other. I know when someone has a new hairdo and when someone's clearly drank too much last night. I know those things about these people I care about. And the way I drive to work in the morning, and I'll channel a recording or I'll listen to some old music that I love, and I laugh. And I notice the birds over the river, and I notice the sunrise. And I appreciate how my cat sits on my lap and purrs at night and is way too eager to eat all the time. And I appreciate that I know where things are at the grocery store, and that I can buy the groceries I need to. And that I have a good relationship with so many of my patients and my friends. And I love the foothills, and I love the hugs, and the new patients I just got that are wonderful. I love all of those things. And those things I don't want to say goodbye to, And that's where grief is, because I don't know what will change. I don't know what I don't know. But here's what I do know. There has never been a time in my life, despite every single moment of hardship or trauma or near death, of which I've had many, that I haven't been cared for, that I haven't been watched after, that I haven't been tended to with great love from a source bigger than myself. And the only thing that gets in the way of that is when I think I know better than that. The only thing that gets in the way is when I try to fight that. The only thing that gets in the way is when I think I can do it better, that my plan is better. I assure you it's not. I assure you whatever plan I come up with, if it's in alignment, there will be ease, not distress. And so I'm reminding myself to appreciate the small things and have gratitude in them. And I'm reminding myself to feel love as often as possible and just hum at that frequency of love. And if I'm having a hard time, because people right now are angry because they don't know what is this I have an advantage of being able to put some words to it, however limiting they are. But there are people that are deeply hurting and deeply scared, and they don't know how to express it except through aggression and fear. And that's not where I'm choosing to live. But I am speaking blessings to all of them, that they will be relieved of suffering and that they will be able to access divine love, at least when they're asleep. At least in their sleep, that they may be relieved. And if I am having a hard time because that darkness is so great, I have even been guided to do things that are like my emergency bag of vibrational raising tools. And usually it's like a salt bath and a good music will pull me out into some exercise. But man, no, I'm going into the deep crevices. I was raised Christian, and worship music was always like a negative experience for me because I didn't understand why worship service was so long. It was so long. It was like over an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. Like, it's just a lot for a kid. And the music sounded the same, and I didn't really have a concept that made sense to me of a higher power that warranted that long of a worship service. But there is a singer, a Christian singer that I do like. And usually I listen to EDM or like vibey meditation or shaman drumming or even some 90s grunge. I'll just pull out whatever. But this needed to be anointed, needed to be the highest vibe humanly possible. And so I brought out the Michael W. Smith, A New Hallelujah, that album. I tell you, it baffles me. We put so much limitation in words on how we define our relationship with spirit on every end. Like, people are like, no, Jesus is the only way. And someone else is like, Christians are horrible. Someone else is like, but Krishna. And, not that they sound like that, but it's just like fighting over language. It's the vibration of love we're all seeking. And I'll tell you what, if there's a vibration of love source, I'm going to go after it because it's pure. And that album, it's a live album, and it's pure. I'm listening to that. There's a song called Help Is On The Way. And I used to listen to this when I worked in hospice, and I would be around so much darkness in people's homes where they were alone, someone dying, they didn't have power in their house. They were incontinent, there was no one to change them. Like, it's sad. I've seen horrible, sad things. I've also seen some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things. But to shake those things that you see and hear as a social worker, that's some hard shit. So you enlist help, and this album has a song called Help Is On The Way. And I tell you, that song right now is helping me through this because I don't know what's coming, but I know help is on the way. And I know that source, whatever name you call it, vibrates at unconditional love, and that's where we have to stay and hold that light to get through this darkness, this literal darkness. And so I'm saying all this, I guess, first of all, to validate how you feel, because I know you probably feel that. And secondly, to let you know that there is a way to hold love vibration. How to do that is so vital because of all the darkness that we hold the love. I beg of you to hold that love vibration with me. Hold it with me. We'll do it together. And it may feel like work right now, but one day it will be the way you wake up and the way you go to sleep, and it will be everything in between. Please hold that light with me. We really need it right now. And help is on the way.